Commander John Hayes pulled at the stiff collar of his dress uniform. The Galactic Council station's air felt too warm for humans, but perfect for the dozen other alien species mingling in the grand reception hall. Colored lights danced across the curved ceiling, creating patterns that reminded John of Earth's northern lights. "Remember, Commander," whispered Lisa Morgan, the security chief standing beside him. "Make a good impression, but don't promise anything. And whatever you do, don't stare directly at the Xinthians for too long." John nodded. Earth was the newest member of the galactic community. Most aliens saw humans as primitive but surprisingly tough. This party was his chance to change their minds. "Which ones are the Xinthians?" he asked quietly. Lisa pointed with her eyes toward a group of tall, elegant beings whose skin seemed to shine with different colors as they moved. "The ones that look like they're made of living opals. Be careful around them. They're known for their mind tricks." Before John could respond, a crowd parted. Walking directly toward him was the most beautiful alien he had ever seen. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, with graceful limbs and skin that shifted between blue and purple with each step. Her eyes were large, with no whites, just swirling patterns of gold and green. "Commander Hayes," she said in perfect English. Her voice sounded like music. "I am Ambassador Vilera of the Xinthian Confederation. How nice to finally meet a human up close." John bowed slightly, remembering to maintain eye contact despite the warning in his diplomatic briefing. "The pleasure is mine, Ambassador. I hope this is the beginning of a productive relationship between our peoples." Vilera's lips curved into a smile. "Most species look away when meeting the Xinthian for the first time. You stare right back. Interesting. On Earth, looking someone in the eye shows respect," John explained. "And does it not concern you that my species is known for our persuasive gaze?" Vilera moved closer, her scent like cinnamon, and something John couldn't name. He smiled confidently. "I face down angry generals and politicians back home. I think I can handle a conversation." Vilera laughed, a sound like crystal bells. Other aliens turned to watch their exchange. "Oh, I like you, human. Most new species are so careful around us, so afraid, but you speak boldly." "Humans have never been known for our caution," John replied. "Usually it's our curiosity that gets noticed." "Is that why your kind went from primitive rocket ships to faster-than-light travel in just 1 century? Curiosity." John took a sip from his glass. "That, and the fact that someone told us it was impossible." More aliens gathered around them now, drawn by their conversation. Vilera's eyes never left John's face as she circled him slowly. He felt a strange pressure in his mind, like someone gently pushing against a door, testing its lock. "You feel it, don't you?" Vilera asked quietly. "My attempt to influence you, yet you resist without effort. Most fascinating. Is this how you usually make friends, Ambassador?" John kept his voice light, but he understood the game now. This was a test. Vilera stopped her circling. "Friends, perhaps. I would like to know you better, Commander Hayes. Perhaps a private meeting, to continue our fascinating discussion." Lisa stepped forward. "Commander, we have other dignitaries to meet." Vilera smiled at the interruption. "Of course. Duty calls. But my invitation stands, Commander. I reside in the diplomatic wing. Suite 7. Come alone. I promise an educational experience." As she walked away, Lisa gripped John's arm. "Sir, that was dangerous. Xinthians never show this much interest unless they want something." John watched Vilera's retreating form. "I know, which is exactly why I'm going to accept her invitation." "Sir, that's a trap." "Obviously," John smiled. "But sometimes the best way to understand the game is to play it." John stood outside Suite 7 in the diplomatic wing. The door seemed to shimmer slightly, like the skin of the being who lived inside. He took a deep breath, checked that the small emergency beacon was secure in his uniform's hidden pocket, and pressed the entry panel. The door slid open silently, Inside, the room glowed with soft blue light that pulsed gently. The air smelled sweet, like flowers John had never seen. Ambassador Vilera stood near a large window that showed the stars outside. She had changed from her formal wear into flowing robes that caught the light as she moved. "Commander Hayes," she said, turning to face him, "you came alone. Brave or foolish?" "Maybe a little of both," John answered, stepping inside. The door closed behind him. "Your quarters are beautiful." Vilera smiled. "They are designed to calm most species, to make them feel at ease." She pointed to two chairs that faced each other in the center of the room. "Please, sit." John sat down, noticing that the chair positioned him perfectly under a soft light. Vilera sat across from him, only 3 feet away. Her eyes seemed even more striking here than at the reception. "I will be direct, Commander," Vilera said. "My people rarely find a species that can resist our influence, yet you showed remarkable control earlier. This interests me greatly." "Is that unusual?" John asked. "Very. In my 214 years as a diplomat, I have never seen it." Vilera leaned forward. "I propose a challenge, a game my people play to test mental strength." John kept his face neutral. "What are the rules?" "Simple. We maintain eye contact. I will attempt to influence your thoughts. If you look away first, you lose. If you fall under my control, you lose." Her lips curved into a confident smile. "I have never lost." John considered the diplomatic situation. If he refused, humans might appear weak. If he accepted and lost, he could reveal secrets or agree to bad terms for Earth. But if he won, "What do I get if I win?" he asked. Vilera laughed. "No one has ever asked me that before." "Very well. If you win, the Zynthian Confederation will support Earth's petition for full council membership." John's eyes widened. Earth had been trying to get that for years. "And if you win, you will answer 3 questions with complete honesty. Nothing that would harm Earth, I assure you. Just information." John nodded slowly. "I accept your challenge, Ambassador." Vilera's smile widened. "Excellent. We begin now." Her eyes changed immediately. The swirling gold and green patterns moved faster, forming shapes that tried to pull John's attention deeper. He felt the same pressure in his mind as before, but stronger now. Like waves hitting a beach, each one pushing a little further up the sand. John focused on keeping his thoughts clear. He pictured the night sky above his family's farm in Nebraska, the stars that had always called to him, even as a child. He held on to that memory as Vilera's influence tried to slip into his mind. Minutes passed, then an hour. Vilera's expression changed from confident to confused. The pressure against John's mind increased, but he continued to resist. "Most interesting," Vilera whispered, her voice showing strain for the first time. "Your species appears primitive, yet your mental barriers are remarkable." John smiled slightly. "Humans are full of surprises." Another hour passed. Sweat beaded on John's forehead, but he didn't break eye contact. Vilera's attempts grew more forceful, then more subtle, changing tactics repeatedly. "What makes you different, John Hayes?" she asked, using his first name for the first time. "How are you doing this?" John didn't answer. He simply maintained his focus, keeping his mind anchored to his memories of Earth. Vilera finally blinked and leaned back. "Enough. I concede this round." John released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Does that mean I win?" "It means," Vilera said slowly, studying him with new interest, "that humans are far more dangerous than anyone in the galaxy has realized." 3 days after the challenge, John couldn't walk through the station without attracting stares. Word had spread quickly among the alien delegates. No one had ever resisted a Zynthian's influence for hours. Some stories now claimed it had been days. Commander Hayes called a tall, 4-armed alien as John passed. "The Juxar Collective would be honored to discuss trade agreements with Earth at your convenience." Similar offers came from 3 other species that morning. Last week, none of them would even answer Earth's messages. Back in the Earth delegation's quarters, Lisa Morgan waited with a serious expression. "Sir, we need to talk." She handed him a data pad showing Villara's official schedule. "She's requested your presence at 6 more diplomatic functions. This isn't normal protocol." "Maybe she enjoy our conversation," John said with a small smile. Lisa didn't return the smile. "Our intelligence team found something concerning. Villara isn't a regular diplomat. Most Cynthians serve for 20 or 30 years before returning home. She's been in diplomatic service for over a century, specializing in first contact with new species." John studied the information on the pad. "That doesn't seem. And every civilization she's taken special interest in has eventually signed treaties that heavily favored the Xynthian Confederation." Lisa finished. "Some of those civilizations later complained they couldn't remember agreeing to certain terms." John frowned. "You think she's still trying to influence me somehow?" "I think she's targeting you specifically, and we need to be careful." Lisa took the pad back. "Earth Command agrees. They've ordered us to limit contact with her." Just then, John's personal communicator chimed. A message from Villara appeared on the small screen. "Commander Hayes, I would be honored if you would accompany me on a routine cultural exchange visit to a nearby Xynthian outpost. We depart tomorrow at 800 hours. This would be an excellent opportunity to strengthen ties between our peoples." Lisa read the message over his shoulder. "Sir, you can't seriously be considering this. It's obviously a trap." "Of course it's a trap," John agreed. "The question is, what kind of trap?" "Commander," Earth Command was clear. "Earth Command isn't here," John interrupted. "They don't see what I'm seeing. Every species that ignored us last week now wants to talk. Something about my resistance to Villara changed how they view humans." John paced the room, thinking. There's more happening here. Why is she so interested in humans specifically? What makes us different? I need to find out. By walking straight into her trap? Lisa asked. "Sometimes the only way to understand the game is to play it," John replied, using his words from before. The next morning, John boarded Villara's personal vessel, a sleek ship that seemed to be made of the same color-shifting material as her skin. Once they were underway, Villara invited him to the ship's observation deck. "Thank you for accepting my invitation," she said, "especially after your security chief's concerns." John raised an eyebrow. "You knew about that?" Villara smiled. "I've been a diplomat for a very long time, Commander Hayes." She guided him to a viewport where stars streaked by as they traveled faster than light. "I should explain why I find you so fascinating," she said after a moment. "The Xynthians aren't merely diplomats. We're genetic scouts." "Genetic scouts?" "Yes. My people identify beneficial traits in other species." Her eyes studied him carefully. "Your resistance to our influence represents an evolutionary advantage we haven't seen in thousands of years." John kept his face neutral, but his mind raced. "So this isn't about diplomacy at all?" "Oh, but it is," Villara replied. "Just not the kind you expected." She moved closer. "Your eyes gave you away during our challenge, John. You weren't just resisting. You were analyzing, adapting. Most species merely struggle against our influence. You were studying it." For the first time, John felt real danger behind her beautiful appearance. She hadn't brought him for a cultural exchange. She had brought him as a specimen. Villara's ship slowed as it approached what looked like a small moon. As they got closer, John realized it wasn't a moon at all, but a large asteroid with structures built into its surface. "Welcome to Outpost Ker 7, Villara said, guiding John through the docking bay, "one of our cultural research centers." John noticed there were no other visitors, only Xynthian personnel who watched him with unusual interest. The corridors were sterile and clean, more like a laboratory than a cultural center. "Strange design for a cultural outpost," John commented, keeping his voice casual while his eyes scanned for exit routes. Villara's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We value efficiency." She led him through a security door that required her handprint. Beyond it was a large room filled with advanced equipment John didn't recognize. A tall, thin Xinthian male in a white lab coat approached them. "Commander Hayes, this is lead researcher Kiravel," Vilera introduced. Kiravel didn't bother with pleasantries. He studied John like a scientist examining a new specimen. "So this is the human who resisted your influence." His voice was colder than Vilera's, with no attempt to sound friendly. "Ambassador Vilera has identified a valuable trait in your species," Kiravel said. "We intend to study it, isolate it, and incorporate it into our evolutionary path." John kept his face calm, though his heart raced. "I'm afraid I didn't agree to be a test subject." Kiravel looked at Vilera with something like amusement. "You told me humans were direct, but I didn't expect such bluntness." Vilera's diplomatic mask had vanished. She now watched John with the calculated interest of a scientist. "I apologize for the deception, Commander, but surely you suspected this wasn't merely a cultural exchange." 4 security guards entered the room, moving to surround John. "We'll make you comfortable," Kiravel said. "The initial tests are non-invasive. We simply need to map your neural patterns while you resist Xinthian influence." John nodded slowly, as if considering this. With careful movements, he reached up to adjust his uniform collar, pressing the hidden emergency beacon beneath it. "You're not the first species to underestimate humans," John said calmly. "We've faced predators throughout our evolution. It's why we look forward, not up." Vilera tilted her head. "What do you mean?" "Earth predators attack from above. Prey species evolve to look up for threats." John smiled slightly. "Humans evolve to look forward, to anticipate and plan." Understanding dawned in Vilera's eyes, like anticipating being brought to a research facility instead of a cultural outpost. "Exactly." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Kiravel rushed to a control panel. "We're being scanned by an unknown ship. How did they find us?" "This facility is hidden." A voice came over the station's emergency channel. "This is Captain Samantha Wright of the Earth Defense Force vessel Intrepid. Your facility is surrounded. Release our diplomat immediately, or we will take action." Vilera stared at John with new respect. "You knew this was a trap." "I suspected," John corrected. "So I laid one of my own." Kiravel looked panicked. "How?" "This outpost is shielded. No one could track you here." John smiled. "The beacon I activated doesn't just send a distress signal. It's been recording everything since I boarded your ship. Every word, every confession about being genetic scouts. The Intrepid has been following at a distance, waiting for my signal." Vilera's composure broke for the first time. "Impossible. Our sensors would have detected them. Earth's newest ships have stealth capabilities," John explained. "You're not the only species with secrets, Ambassador." The security guards looked to Kiravel for orders, unsure what to do. "You have 30 seconds to respond," Captain Wright's voice announced over the speakers. John crossed his arms. "I suggest you make the right choice. Humans don't respond well to threats against our people." The Xinthian facility buzzed with activity as Earth forces secured the research labs. Captain Samantha Wright, a tall woman with short brown hair and a no-nonsense expression, led a team through the main laboratory. Her soldiers moved with precise coordination, downloading data from Xinthian computers. "You were right, Commander," Wright said to John. "This place contains research data on dozens of species they've manipulated over the years." John watched as Vilera was escorted to a secure room for questioning. The proud ambassador now looked uncertain, her skin's colors shifting in dull patterns that seemed to reflect her mood. "Permission to speak with the prisoner, Captain?" John asked. Wright nodded. 5 minutes. We've disabled all their influence technology, but be careful anyway." John entered the room where Vilera sat alone. The once confident ambassador looked up as he entered, her expression unreadable. "This goes beyond diplomatic incident, Vilera," John said, sitting across from her. "This is systematic exploitation of emerging species. For the first time, Villera's composure truly cracked. You don't understand. This is survival. The Xinthian evolutionary path stagnated millennia ago. Without incorporating traits from other species, we face extinction within generations. John studied her face, looking for deception. Instead, he saw something unexpected. Fear. Explain, he said simply. My people reached evolutionary perfection 1,000 years ago, she said. Or so we thought. We stopped adapting naturally. Our birth rates began to fall. Genetic diseases appeared. We discovered that without continuous evolution, without new traits, we were slowly dying. So you began harvesting traits from other species. Villera nodded. At first, we traded fairly. Later, as our situation worsened, we became more desperate. John heard the truth in her voice. The mighty Xinthians, feared throughout the galaxy for their power and beauty, were dying. Earth Command wants all the research data transmitted back home, John told her. They'll expose what your people have been doing to the Galactic Council. That would destroy us, Villera whispered. Many treaties would be invalidated. Worlds would turn against us. We would face extinction even sooner. John made a decision that surprised even himself. He tapped his communicator. Captain Wright, please come to the holding room. When Wright arrived, John explained his idea. Instead of exposing everything immediately, I propose an alternative. What kind of alternative? Wright asked, suspicious. A genuine alliance, John said. Earth helps the Xinthians find a solution to their evolutionary crisis. In exchange, they share their knowledge and help us navigate galactic politics. Wright stared at him. You want to help the people who just tried to turn you into a lab experiment. I want to help a species facing extinction, John corrected. Exploitation isn't the only path to survival. Humans thrive through cooperation as much as competition. We can show them another way. Villera looked at John with genuine surprise. Why would you help us after what we've done? Because that's what humans do, John replied. We explore, we learn, and when possible, we help. Our greatest strength isn't our resistance to your influence. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies. Wright considered this for a long moment. I'll need approval from Earth Command. And we'd need guarantees, full disclosure of all Xinthian research and technology. We can provide that, Villera said quickly. And your people would need to stop their current practices immediately, John added firmly. Villera's colors shifted to a deep blue. It won't be easy. Many of my people believe our current path is the only way forward. Change never is easy, John said. But extinction is harder. For the first time since they met, Villera's smile seemed genuine. You continue to surprise me, Commander Hayes. John extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Villera took it. To a new beginning, he said. 3 months had passed since the confrontation at the Xinthian research facility. On Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, a new joint research center hummed with activity. Human scientists worked side by side with Xinthian researchers, bringing fresh perspectives to a problem the aliens had struggled with for centuries. John, now promoted to diplomatic director, walked through the main laboratory. Earth geneticists explained their ideas to Xinthian specialists, their excitement clear despite the language differences. One of the human scientists waved John over to see their latest results. Director Hayes, look at this, Dr. Alan Foster said, pointing to a complex display. We're making real progress on the Xinthian genetic stability issue. John nodded, though he understood little of the technical details. That's excellent news, Doctor. In another part of the facility, Villera worked alongside the research team. Stripped of her ambassadorial title after the incident, she had chosen to join the Europa project rather than face punishment from her government. Her knowledge proved valuable to the research effort. News from the Galactic Council arrived daily. Evidence of Xinthian manipulation had been strategically leaked, causing political upheaval. Earth, rather than appearing as a victim, positioned itself as a mediator, helping negotiate new and fair treaties. That evening, John found Villara in the observation dome that looked out over Jupiter's swirling clouds. The massive planet filled the view, its famous red spot visible against bands of orange and cream. "Beautiful, isn't it?" John said, joining her by the transparent dome. Villara turned. "Different from what I'm used to, but yes, your solar system has its own beauty." Their relationship had evolved into something complex, not quite friendship, but a wary respect. "You could have destroyed us," she said after a moment of silence. "Exposed everything at once. Why didn't you?" John watched Jupiter's clouds move slowly across the planet's face. "Burning down the existing order doesn't benefit anyone. Earth needs allies, not chaos, and your people need a future beyond manipulation and deception." Villara studied him. "I've analyzed your strategy extensively, and it defies Xinthian understanding. You turned a position of vulnerability into an advantage without exploiting those you gained power over." "That's the most human thing of all," John replied. "We've spent our history learning that true strength comes from lifting others up, not holding them down." Vilara's skin rippled with color, showing her thoughtfulness. "Many of my people still resist this idea. They see our old ways as the only path to survival." "Change takes time," John said, "but the alternative." Their conversation was interrupted as Dr. Foster burst into the observation dome, his face excited. "We've found it," he exclaimed, "a potential solution to the Xinthian evolutionary crisis." Vilara's colors brightened instantly. "Are you certain?" Foster nodded rapidly. "We've identified a way to restart natural adaptation in your species. It would require significant changes to Xinthian society, but it offers genuine survival rather than temporary extension." "What kind of changes?" Villara asked. "The influence ability your people rely on," Foster explained. "It evolved as a defensive mechanism, but it's consuming too much genetic energy. If your people gradually reduce its use over generations, your natural adaptive abilities should return." Villara looked shocked. "Give up our greatest advantage. Replace it with something better," John suggested. "Natural evolution again. Real adaptation instead of borrowed traits." "My people will resist this solution," Villara said quietly. "Our influence ability defines us." John placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Sometimes we have to let go of what we are to become what we could be. Humans have faced that choice many times." Villara looked from John to the excited scientist. "I will take this proposal to my government. Some will listen, I believe." For the first time since John had met her, Vilara's expression showed something new: hope. 1 year had passed since John's fateful meeting with Villara at the Galactic Council station. He now stood in that same grand reception hall, but everything felt different. Earth's flag hung prominently among the member worlds. Humans moved confidently through the crowd, no longer seen as newcomers but as respected allies. John adjusted his new formal uniform, the insignia of Earth's diplomatic corps gleaming on his chest. The last year had transformed galactic politics. After evidence of Xinthian manipulation emerged, many treaties had been renegotiated. Earth, rather than pushing for punishment, had guided the process with surprising wisdom for such a young species. "Director Hayes," a familiar voice called. John turned to see Villara approaching. She looked different now. Her skin still shifted with iridescent colors, but something about her appearance had changed. The patterns were more natural, less controlled. "You look well," John said, smiling. "The treatment is working for those who choose it," she replied. Her position had changed too. No longer a diplomat, she now served as scientific liaison between her people and the rest of the galaxy. "We're learning to evolve naturally again, to adapt without taking from others. It's slower, less certain, but it's genuine," John finished. "Earned, not taken." Villara nodded. "Many of my people resist the change. They fear losing what made us powerful, but enough have embraced it to ensure our survival. They walked together through the reception hall. Representatives from dozens of species conducted the business of galactic politics around them. Near the center of the room, Captain Wright, now Admiral Wright, was deep in conversation with delegates from 3 different worlds. "Your ship, Captain, has risen quickly," Vilera observed. "Humans adapt to new situations," John replied. "It's what we do best." Vilera watched the various species interacting. "I came to study why humans could resist us. I never expected to learn that your greatest evolutionary advantage isn't resistance, but regeneration, not just of your bodies, but of your societies, your methods, your perspectives. That's what makes us human," John said. "We look forward, not backward. We imagine better futures, and then work to create them." A young Xinthian approached them, her skin showing the subtle changes of those who had accepted the new treatment. "Liz and Villara, the Rigelian delegation has questions about our joint research proposal." Villara nodded to her assistant. "I'll be there shortly." As the younger Xinthian left, she turned back to John. "My new role keeps me busy. It seems many worlds are interested in our research now that it's focused on healing rather than exploitation." "That's how progress works," John said. "One good idea inspires another." Around them, the future of the galaxy was taking shape. Species that had mistrusted each other for centuries now worked together, inspired by the unexpected alliance between humans and Xinthians. Earth had brought a new approach to old problems, showing that cooperation could be as powerful as competition. "I should go," Villara said. "But I wanted to thank you, John Hayes. Your people could have exposed us, demanded reparations, even pushed for sanctions. Instead, you offered help. That's why we look forward, not up," John explained. "The predators of our past shaped us, but they don't define our future." Villara extended her hand in the human gesture she had learned. "To looking forward." John took her hand, completing the circle that began with a game of manipulation and ended with mutual respect. Eyes forward, always. As they parted ways, John watched Villara move through the crowd. Their story had begun with an alien Temptress playing her bold game, trying to ensnare a human in her influence. It ended with 2 species finding a new path together, their eyes no longer locked in contest, but looking toward the same horizon, a future neither could have imagined alone.